When I was 15, I never got in too much alone time with them. I was usually with people around, but at that time I went to the concert by myself, and the trains had shut down, and I called my family, and they sort of said, well, you've gotten yourself into this. So, and he pointed the finger at his security guard and said, well, I can't drive you home, but I can drive you home, pointed at me. And so he took me out to dinner, and then he started holding my hands in the car in a very kind of sensual and uncomfortable way. And then he said he wanted to audition me back in New York. So we came to New York, and then he told me I shouldn't bring my parents to the audition, and then so he auditioned me a couple months later, and at some point we started having these kind of sessions where he would get me naked into bed, he would masturbate, and he said it was part of my development because I was sort of lured in with a promise of this would make things more special, it would make my education. He said he was going to educate me special, and so it was always couched in that promise. So I was very interested in his being my mentor, and somehow it became that he was always too busy to, meet me normally. We initially would have, go to the concert, go to dinner, and then come back home. And a lot of times I would just meet him at home, at either his hotel or his apartment. And he sort of made it seem like it was normal, and I was drinking the Kool-Aid, the Levine-aid, and I didn't know that, He escalated the abuse when I was in 2009. So he kind of got explicitly sexual, and that's when I saw that this was that's really what he wanted, right? So he'd make a lot of promises, but he never came through with his promises to be a mentor, and then but he was really after the physical stuff. He initially, he always said, I should take off my clothes when I come to his apartment in Central Park West, or if I come to his hotel in Chicago, the suburban Chicago, and he would often want to know how did I like. He would masturbate me, and he would try to masturbate me, and he would masturbate himself. So there was a lot of that going on, and a lot of that, and then he'd have me sleep over, and most of the times were only when I could sleep over. I mean, he kind of manipulated that reality. Sometimes he gave me a little bit of a drink when when we go to a restaurant. We meet more often at his hotel or his apartment. There were sometimes to get counseling and to get help, he would give me money, and yes, he's giving me. He would give me envelopes, usually in New York. I mean, initially he gave me a check. I didn't keep that. It was from the first check was, I think it was like in the 80s, sometime late 80s. So I don't have that bank account anymore. But it was from his brother, and it had his brother's name on it. And then after that, he would give me cash. Again, like, the reason I'm here is because I feel like if there are other people in this situation, it was hard for people to believe me. And I'm going to say this looking at the camera, is that I believe you, and you're not alone. And I would say, I'm not the only one. Hashtag I'm not the only one. I have a very good psychiatrist and a support network that is focused on healing and recovery and trying to help other people heal. So that's been very helpful. So to bring me to sanity, to realize that this person was sick and the lifestyle was insane, and so I've been restored to sanity through a very good psychiatrist. He's a Buddhist psychiatrist, Dr. Joe Loizo, who has a meditation institute at the Tibet House, and so he's helped me, meditate and get sober and be totally, free of alcohol and other, compulsive things like marijuana, and so I've been focused on healing and recovery. I was sort of, numbing myself. I was engaging in numbing activities, so I had issues with alcohol and marijuana and other compulsive activities, intimacy issues, and thanks to the psychiatrist I saw that this, took me until 2013 to learn about this, because I was always confused about it. Sometimes I thought, okay, it's abusive, sometimes I didn't know. I would just say, I think you need help, and I think you should get help for what, and get a psychiatrist, or, and to admit, be more forthcoming and admit your wrongs, and while you don't see yourself as an oppressor, this kind of education didn't work for me. And if you feel like I'm saying anything untrue, we should meet right here and talk about it.